As a community advocate, I will also discuss important social issues that affect our city. I plan to showcase organizations and heroes who are doing amazing things to help others. Remember to tune in every Tuesday morning at 10, starting soon.
This is Barbara Berrigan-Perea with Delta Flows, a radio show by the Voice of Stockton and Restore the Delta. This is the weekly radio show where we discuss everything Delta related: the environment, water management, water quality, farming, history and culture, public events, recreation, Delta food, and the arts. Tune into Delta Flows on KXVS, the Voice of Stockton, streaming live on Facebook and YouTube at KXVS Radio.
KXVS 92.1 coming soon. KXVS.
Welcome to KXVS, the Voice of Stockton. And it's time for Walk the Talk with your host, Jim T. Chong.
Hey, this is Jim T. Chong, the Walk Star, coming live from Stockton City in California. We're really in the heart of Stockton, right off the Miracle Mile, and we appreciate you tuning in. There are so many great things that we have to focus on today, and I'll tell you, we have a very special person to me. She is somebody that deals in placement. She's actually an author. Book Break Barriers to Elevate People from Ordinary to Extraordinary. Also, we want to go ahead and mention that with Therese Johnson, she just launched her book, Seniors Saving Seniors, and she very special to me because she actually found a place where my dad would actually be able to stay within a residential care home over in the Sacramento area, over at Divine Mercy, the residential care home there. We also have with us a law specialist. We are talking about none other than Patrea Bullock, and she is a specialist dealing with the lemon law, and you're going to find out a little bit about what the lemon law is. It's all about the ability to be able to get your car returned to the original manufacturer in the event that it is a lemon or something that is defective from purchase, and you're going to find out a little bit more about that later. But before we go ahead and get started, we want to go ahead and salute and also honor those that have served our country. And we have our American dream that we're able to live by because of those that have served our country. So I want to go ahead and give you all a shout out there. And I have with me today in studio, of course, is Governor Don working the board here, but also the director here at KXVS, the Voice of Stockton. So for all of you that have served our country, whether you be in Stockton, California, or anywhere nationwide, you can go ahead and just know that we appreciate your service here. And let's go ahead and give them a round of applause here. Let's go ahead. All right. Well, thank you very much for your service. And as we go ahead and move forward to the show here today, I want to go ahead and emphasize again just the gratitude that we all have for the opportunity to be able to live in America. And we are able to enjoy a lot of luxuries given to us because of those that have served our country. And of course, I believe that everyone in our nation is happy except for the turkeys. The turkeys are not so happy, and they're not. But I want to tell you that we really do have a great history. There's a great story behind America as well. And I want you to think about, through the duration of the story, what will you do with your American dream? And I have with us today a very special person. She is Therese Johnson. Again, she is the author of the book that was just recently released called Senior Saving Seniors, and Saving Senior Savings, excuse me. And that is a bestseller in the category for really helping people understand as they go into the senior years just to what they can expect and what they can can do to prepare. She is also the author of the book that I'm compiling that's going to be released next month, The Breaking Barriers, Decisions to Elevate People from Ordinary to Extraordinary. So, Therese Johnson, how are you today?
Hi, Jim. I'm doing great, and it's thank you for having me on. It's great to see you earlier this month at the annual caregiver conference. Too. You did a great job. I want to compliment you on your emceeing there.
Thank you. And that was for the Inner Safari Caregiver Symposium, hosted actually the 10th annual one for Healings in Motion. But Therese, I want to go ahead and just mention that I know you had done a special section for us for many months over in Sacramento on Money 105.5 on my show there, which is Rush Hour for Success. But I want to go ahead and, we talked a lot about senior moments there. And as you went ahead and put together these books, I want to go ahead and just ask you this question because now is a great month of a time of reflection. Just basically, why do you think it's important for us to know our story?
Well, there's a lot of reasons to tell our story, Jim, and people do it for branding their business. People do it on an individual level for their own clarification and to support themselves in their own personal, spiritual, emotional recovery and physical recovery. And I think that's the most important reason, actually, to share your story and also to contribute back to humanity and society, to share your experiences because it helps other people. By hearing what other people have gone through, and especially in this day and age, for me personally, it gives me hope sometimes when I'm having a rough day or I'm getting depressed or getting down or things aren't going the way I had expected. When I hear other people's stories, or if I'm having difficulty in figuring something out, it's a way of learning. And I think for me, life is about lifelong learning. And it's a way of helping people to have that lifelong learning. And by sharing your story, it's so important. And, that's how we learn. We learn from each other. We learn from what we read. And when you share your story, you're contributing back to humanity by sharing your own experience. Because you don't know how much that could help someone else. Sometimes just knowing that what somebody else went through for me, and then I think, wow, I really don't have it so bad, especially when I look at other places in the world. Americans, we really are blessed, I believe, for our lifestyle. And so when I hear other people's stories, it really inspires me and gives me hope. And I think all of us can use a little bit of that, as well as our personal growth. It's so important to continue to expand and grow as a person, and one of the ways that we do that is by hearing other people's stories and other people sharing their stories with us.
That's really true. Hey, I want to ask, I don't know if you're on a headset, you're kind of fading in and out. If you're able to go direct.
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to take you off speaker.
All right.
I can hear you better when I'm on speaker, but you can't hear me as good, so I apologize.
Oh, no, you don't have to apologize at all. Now, I know just in knowing your story, I'm really looking forward to just having everyone be able to really learn your story. There's a lot of aha moments and some things that I think people will be surprised about there, but things that will help them really move forward. Now, I know you deal also with senior placement, of course, and you are the owner of Senior Care of Sacramento, and your family actually owns some locations in senior communities. But I wanted to ask you, what got you into that arena to be able to help place seniors?
Well, actually, it was a friend of mine, a Filipino gal, that when I was going through a divorce back in the 90s, I needed to figure out a way to support myself and my children. I have 6 children, and that was not going to be an easy task financially. I needed to make a good income. I did have a college education.
You had 6 children. You had 6 children.
Yes, but I have.
And you survived.
Counting my stepsons. Yeah.
Wow.
That's right.
Okay, for those of you that had your first, maybe one or two children, I think consider yourself blessed. Consider, I'm sure, Therese, you probably consider yourself even more blessed with 6 children. But moving on from what you were saying.
Absolutely. So, anyways, I needed to make a pretty good income to support them, and a friend of mine, she suggested that I open a care home. She said you would be able to make enough money to support your family with that kind of business, and she was a very successful businesswoman herself, and so I took her advice to heart, and I looked into it, and that's what I ended up doing. I ended up opening a care home to support myself and my family. That's how I originally got into it. The other reason also, though, was it was kind of, I never had really, my grandparents died when they were very young. I never really had grandparents, and I felt like I had kind of missed out, and I wanted to have that experience. And it was kind of a way of having substitute grandparents, if you may.
Wow. Well, with doing what you do as well, there's a lot of things that people need to consider when they look for a home, especially if you're looking for one yourself. Maybe you're a little bit more seniored, but especially for those that have their parents, they're aging, such as my dad. His memory was actually going, and I'd been serving as a part-time caregiver. So with everything that's happening right here, with what you're doing right now, you see a lot in terms of placing seniors. What are some of the things that you feel like people should look for when they're looking for a good location of residence for someone they love, or even themselves as a senior?
Well, I always recommend that they work with a professional or a consultant, like a geriatric case manager like myself, or there's several other agencies out there that do it. There's a few in Stockton. If you can find a local one, they're usually the most informative, and they know the reputation of the local care homes. They have a relationship with them. They know which ones fit in your budget. They know which ones specialize in the diagnosis of your loved one. If they're diabetic or have Parkinson's or have dementia, whatever the case may be, they know which care homes do the best at those types of healthcare needs. So they can match the area you're looking for, your budget, and the whatever their diagnosis is. So it can save you. I recommend that you use one of them because most of them are free, and it will save the consumer a lot of time, energy, and money. And most of us are very busy in this day and age, and especially if you're working. And they also are loaded with advice. I mean, they have all kinds of resources to help you find money to pay for that care. And that's what my book, Saving Senior Savings, Best Kept Secrets on How to Pay for Senior Services, is about. And that's why I wrote it, to help consumers and seniors with going down that path, because it's not easy and it's very difficult when you have to start helping your loved one to find care, either in-home care or if it's time to move them to assisted living. And I also discuss that in the book and give you tips on how do you know when it's time. And I also give you forms and documents and help you get your ducks in a row so that, and give you pricing so you know what to expect, what's going to cost, how to plan. It's so important to plan.
What would be the range that people should expect to pay on a monthly basis for basically going into a residential care home or placement in some location?
Well, nationwide, the average cost for placement for an assisted living, or it's also called residential care facility for the elderly, is $3,500, and especially in California. But obviously, everyone doesn't have that kind of budget, and that's why I recommend using a consultant and a specialist, because there are some homes that offer for lower budgets, or they may need to have a shared room and have a roommate instead of a private room to fit in their budget. So these are all things that have to be taken into consideration. Budget, and it usually always does get down to that almighty dollar. Let's face it. And it's like you are always saying, Jim. If the more money you have, the more choices you have. The less money you have, less choices you have, and sometimes the choices will be made for you. So
yeah, if you have no money, that's what happens.
Yeah, so planning is crucial, and also finding resources to help pay for your care, because there are some resources, especially for our veterans out there, that can help pay for their care.
Yeah, and I know that working with seniors, like I deal with some advanced strategies for reallocation of assets legally, and preparation is so very important. I know you've heard, Therese, as I've gone through being a caregiver for my dad, even though I didn't want to acknowledge necessarily I was a caregiver, because I'm the son. That's why I do what I do, right? But there are ways, if you're a caregiver, where you can work it out where you actually get paid for your time as well, if you structure things properly. And I just want to also mention that with the right planning, you can actually prepare and be much better equipped financially. And I know it was really hard for me emotionally to make that decision that we really wanted to put my dad into a location, because of course I'm the son, and especially culturally, we want to always give them the option to do what they want to do. And when it was finally time where he made a decision to go into the home, I was so happy. And even being in this arena on the financial end, I was so fortunate to be able to have the resources like yourself, Therese, to be able to guide me. And I just want to mention that you have to be prepared. And Therese, you've seen this from a point of view of placing people when they're not financially prepared, when they don't know where to go. Why is it so important to do the pre-planning in advance, do you feel?
Well, because it's less stressful, number one, and a lot of the programs and resources that are available, there's a bureaucratic process that you have to go through, and it can be anywhere from 3 months to a year to get these in place and get signed up and apply and go through the application process in order to receive those funds. So if you wait till the last minute, then the family is scrambling around, or you may not have the money, and then it creates a crisis situation, and we come across that a lot. And also, it's important, and that's part of what my book talks about, is, like you initially were saying, empowering seniors and their families to save their assets from forfeiture to the state if they end up in having to go to a skilled nursing facility. So, which is, can be $300 a day, and that's most people, that's not something that they can afford. And so that's why it's so crucial to plan ahead. If you don't get signed up for maybe some of these programs that you need assistance with, and make sure you have the right insurance and have the funds to pay for long-term care, then you may just end up in a government-run Medi-Cal facility, and at that point, you really don't have a lot of choices.
And things like that I know require a lot of planning. And I just really want to encourage everyone, if you're dealing with a situation where you have a loved one, it could be a senior, it could be somebody that just needs some sort of long-term care, consider planning ahead, because it does save a lot of grief. And I am just fortunate that I have direct resources and been working in this arena, but at the same time, it's still devastating. It's one of the things, it's a lot different when you are giving the advice versus when you're living out the situation. So you want to go ahead and get that planned out. And so I know people can reach you, Therese, at seniorcareofsacramento.com, seniorcareofsacramento.com. They can find out more information about just resources that are available and find out how to reach you. And they can also just email you at seniorcareofsacramento at gmail.com. Is that correct, Therese?
Yes, and they can always call me at 916-877-6904. I do give 20-minute complimentary consultations for people that are planning to move to assisted living or board and care as well.
Well, thank you for joining us here today. I appreciate you taking out some time, and we just want to be able to just recognize those of you that through this time you might be working through a challenging situation with someone you love, or somebody's approaching that time, and be thankful for everything that surrounds you, but definitely take time to think about what needs to happen inevitably, especially if you're dealing with a senior loved one. Any final thoughts here, Therese?
Our philosophy is aging in place and keeping seniors at home as long as possible. And so planning ahead allows families to pay for services that allow the seniors to maintain their degree of independence for as long as possible, while protecting their savings and assets so they can be passed on to family members. So that is our philosophy and our goal, and that's what we aim to do to help people with long-term care planning. So call someone and get some help if you're in that situation, because like you said, Jim, it can be very emotionally overwhelming and create a lot of grief and heartache for family members. And it's difficult to maneuver through the morass of bureaucracy and our healthcare system these days. And so take advantage of the use of an expert and give yourself some peace of mind.
Yes. Well, thank you again for joining us. And if you have a situation where you're thinking that you're with a loved one that might be entering into that stage where they really do need extended care, maybe a senior location or community to go into, please look up seniorcareofsacramento.com, or you can contact myself, Jim Chong, at 925-860-9777. That is 925-860-9777 for more information on how you can really take care of the ones you love. And I'll tell you, just getting things planned ahead makes all the difference in the world. And I know being situated, my dad, in the place where he's at is really great. But I've also seen situations where people are placed somewhere where they don't necessarily want to be, but that was really the only option because there was no real planning in place. So thanks again, Therese Johnson of Senior Care of Sacramento. And as we go ahead and move on, I will tell you, going into the holidays, we get a chance to spend a lot of time with family. And this is going to be a time over the next, probably the next month and a half, where people are thinking about just a new beginning, planning out what they want to do for the new year. Some people are actually going to be buying some things as well. And one of the best purchases you can get is probably a home, because we've talked about that, but also your car. And so I'm very excited because I had a great discussion with this individual preparing for today's interview, and that is Patrea Bullock. She is a lemon law attorney and expert. She represents consumers in their effort to get manufacturers to buy back defective vehicles, and for 23 years she represented and tried cases for Fortune 500 firms, including 3 top insurance carriers and major auto manufacturers, and she had tried over 44 cases to verdict, which makes her just a really good advocate for those who do not have that same experience. And I'm very excited because I know one of the vans that I purchased was a lemon, and I was able to recoup pretty much all the money back from my vehicle, less usage time. And so I want to go ahead and introduce Patrea Bullock. Patrea, how are you today?
I am fantastic, Jim. How are you?
Great. Well, I know you just have some great information, obviously experience in this arena. And can you just first off briefly describe just what the lemon law is? Just take a moment here so people have a context of what we're talking about and why it's important for people to know about this.
Absolutely, yes. It's one of my missions is to educate the consumer on this law. People don't understand how powerful it is for the consumer. So basically, the lemon law, it's called the Song-Beverly Consumer Warranty Act, says it doesn't just work on cars, but cars are a big purchase. So it comes in when somebody buys a car. While the car is under warranty, if there is a defect in that car, and it is in the shop for say 2 times for something that could be life-threatening, like say your brakes go out, that could be a lemon. If it goes into the shop a few times, the law says it has to be. The manufacturer has to have a reasonable number of opportunities to repair the vehicle. So 3, 4, 5 times, but there is no set number. let's say your Bluetooth goes out and you can't use your car the way you intend to. It has to affect use, value, or safety to you. If it does, and it's in the shop a few times and they're not fixing it, it could be a lemon. If it's in the shop straight 30 days, it could be a lemon. Actually, if it's in the shop 30 days under warranty, it is a lemon. If it is in the shop for multiple different things during the warranty period for a total of 30 days, it's a lemon. People don't understand that this law allows, the manufacturer has an affirmative duty to buy back the vehicles that are defective, that are considered to be lemons. And people think it's too expensive. They can't fight the big manufacturer. And that's not true. First of all, the manufacturer is not expensive. The consumer doesn't even pay the lawyer's fees. The manufacturers, under the law, have to pay the attorney's fees and costs.
Okay, let me ask you this. All right, let's say I buy a car, reasonable price for a car today. Let's just say it's a $25,000 car, so middle line car. And let's say I bring it into the shop a few times. And when do I know that it is lemon? You said if it stayed in the shop for, let's say, 30 days or more total, right? They don't have to be don't have to be concurrent. Is that correct? They don't have to be back-to-back days?
That's correct.
Okay. And let's say they go in and they're trying to repair it multiple times. So out of the $25,000 I spent for the car, how much can I expect to get back? Half, a quarter, all of the money?
All of it.
Oh, all of it. Okay.
So basically, the manufacturer, if it's a lemon, has to either buy back the car or replace the vehicle. And that's up to the consumer, whether they want it replaced or want it bought back. If it's determined to be a lemon, they have to buy it back. They have to pay everything you spent on that car, your down payment, your interest, everything you spent on that vehicle,
including
plus
interest,
any incidental or inconsequential damages.
Wow, including interest and everything.
Yes, and if you think you have a lemon, and you call the manufacturer and you say, I believe I have a lemon, I want you to buy my car back, they will evaluate the situation. They'll look at all the dealer records. They'll tell you yes or no. Oftentimes they will say no. And that's when you really need to have a reputable lawyer with good skills to look at the situation and decide whether or not that they were correct. And if it turns out that they should have bought the car back, they could be in trouble for bad faith, and you could get up to 3 times the value of your car in damages.
Wow. That's a good return. That's almost 200% more, right? Wow. Now let me...
Well, I mean, it's a law that was definitely designed to help consumers fight the big manufacturers.
That's really good. Now, Governor Don, are you familiar with the lemon law? You might already be.
Just a little bit of familiarity, but I'm learning more.
Yeah, so this is pretty amazing. So what she's saying is if you go ahead, and correct me if I'm wrong, if I go ahead and buy a car and I know what my rights are and I know what to look for, if it is being repaired multiple times, I could just call the manufacturer, or would I reach the dealership? Is that sufficient, Patrea?
No, you need to go directly to the manufacturer, which usually in your owner's manual there will be a page in there that actually talks about the lemon law, because they have to, inform the consumer. It's there, and also the customer service contact number for them.
Okay, you call them, and there's a chance, though not likely, that they would want to buy back the vehicle. Probably not, though. Is that correct?
Well, I can't say for sure because there's so many different manufacturers out there. I believe they all handle it differently. But they know what the law is. They know at what point they need to buy a car back, and sometimes they don't. And they just allow people they expect people are just going to go away.
Right. And that happens. We know that. And, just thinking about this here, this is a pretty incredible thing to be aware of, especially if you're investing in a vehicle. And let me ask you this is probably an obvious question for some, maybe not so obvious for others, but why don't people take advantage of this? Because I know people that have had problems with cars, they don't really think of this necessarily. They think I might have a lemon, but they don't want to engage to try to go through that process.
Exactly. They think it's first of all, they think it's too expensive, which, as I said, it's not too expensive because attorneys are paid for by the manufacturer.
Now, do you have to have any money up front? Do you have to have any money up front or nothing?
Absolutely not. And I personally review anybody's documents. Most lemon law lawyers will review all documents for free, for a free consultation. You can also just have a phone conversation with an attorney and have them ask a series of questions, and probably can give you an answer. Assuming that all the records show what you just told them, then they can tell you whether you have a lemon or not.
So first reason is just cost. They just think it costs something, and you've kind of debunked that. You said, and I quote you, pretty much they don't have to have anything come out of pocket if they're using the right people. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. All right. Why else won't people look into that?
I think they can't beat the big manufacturers. I think they think, oh, well, the manufacturer's got all the money and the power, and they're going to go to court and they're going to say, oh, this isn't a lemon and I'm going to lose. And so they don't want to waste their time. That's also not true. I mean, the lemon law is very powerful. It protects the consumer, and the jury instructions that the jury hears are based on the law. And if you have a lemon, 9 times out of 10, the jury is going to give you the repurchase of your vehicle.
Wow, that's really good. And I actually experienced that. I had a van that was a lemon, and I actually heard about the lemon law. I actually didn't think it was going to work. Like what you said, I didn't really believe. I thought, okay. I talked to the person. The person said they wouldn't charge me anything, and I kept waiting for the quote. However, we need to charge you for this. It's true. I didn't get charged anything, and then we went through the process. They just told me what I needed. All the maintenance records we were able to gather and submit them, so it was quite painless. And I actually got that van was actually a pretty nice van. It was over $30,000. I actually got I believe most of the money back, although I did not know about the would we be able to call it pain and suffering, any incidentals, or is that not included?
No.
Okay.
No, this is under contract law, and it's a breach of warranty, and so there are no emotional distress or personal injury or anything like that.
But I believe I did get back pretty much all the interest I paid at that time as well. So.
And you're also entitled to any incidental and consequential damages. So, for instance, if you had to rent a car because your car wasn't working, then you would get reimbursed for that. There could be other incidental and consequential, towing, for instance.
Wow. Okay. Well, right now, I think most people should be excited. If you go ahead and make a big purchase and you get a great car, and I'm assuming this only applies to new vehicles. Is that would be a fair assumption?
It applies to new vehicles or used vehicles that are still under warranty. The manufacturer's warranty also applies to leased vehicles.
Oh, okay. Now, what about
the warranty follows the vehicle?
Okay, so let's say I lease a vehicle, it doesn't have a current warranty on it, that would not be qualified for the lemon law. Is that correct?
Well, if the warranty has expired, there are two major warranties that we're talking about here, and that's the basic warranty and then the powertrain warranty.
Yes.
There's also more additional California state warranties, like emissions warranties. So if there's a problem with the emissions, the warranty is even longer. But those warranties all follow the vehicle. So if you've leased a vehicle and it's within, let's say the warranty is 3 years, 36,000 miles, and you bought it at 2 years, 20,000 miles, it's still covered by warranty.
Okay, that's nice.
Or you leased it at that point.
But only for that duration of time until the warranty runs out.
Say that again?
Only until the warranty itself runs out. Is that correct?
Right. Well, yes, but let's talk about the statute of limitations. So if during the period of time you have a problem with the vehicle that is in the shop, say 4 times, and the day before the warranty runs out is the 4th time it goes in the shop, and that turns out under the facts to be a lemon, you then have, from the moment you knew or should have known it was a lemon, or basically defective, you have 4 years as the statute of limitations to bring that lawsuit. And so you could still have a lemon and file the lawsuit after the end of the warranty.
Wow.
And have it count back to the time. Also, the jury instruction that the jury gets says that they can't hold it against you that you continue driving that car.
Wow, that's nice. That's really good. And it's good to know that people are protected because, again, it's a very sizable investment. And I know I wasn't aware of the lemon law earlier on. There was a couple vehicles I felt like were lemons. I don't know under the guidelines. I'd have to look closer. But I know what I decided to do. I'll just go ahead and just trade it in and get another vehicle. You know, that's what I believe a lot of people would do.
That's exactly what my husband did. And before I became an expert in the lemon law, he had a vehicle. I won't name the manufacturer, and it broke down on him. They told him it was going to be 3 weeks before they could even get it in the shop. Technically, that was going to be longer than 30 days. It would have been a lemon but he just took it down and traded it in on something else because he just didn't want to deal with it. Had I known, and of course we lost money. Because you sell it for less than you paid for it.
Now, what about a paint job? Let's say a bad paint job. One of the cars I bought had a really bad paint job, and it started to erode. It was a new vehicle, and so would that qualify as well for a lemon?
Are you talking about the original paint on the car that came from the manufacturer has a problem?
Yes.
That could be.
Okay.
That could be considered a lemon if it's affecting your use or value or safety of the car, which it could affect the value because if the paint's not lasting as long as what you expected when you purchased it.
Now, do you think it's a fair offering that they say, well, we'll go ahead and fix it and paint it for you? Because we know that manufacturer straight from the shop is very different than after the car's been delivered.
Yes. Well, that is exactly what the warranty is for. So nobody ever expects anything to be absolutely perfect, and that's why they have warranties. They promise that they will fix any defect, and so you have to give them a chance to fix it. And even if it's not exactly the same, I suppose you could make that argument, but I'm not sure that it would fly.
Right. Well, this is a very interesting arena, and I know those that are listening, they might be considering, is my car a lemon? But more importantly, as you go out buy a car, there are definitely some things that you can do to really consider. What are some things that consumers can do to protect themselves while they're thinking about a new car purchase? Is this kind of just something you just kind of let the time ride and you figure it out, or is there some things that you can do ahead of time?
There are definitely things you can do. I think the most important thing is when you buy a new vehicle, you use that vehicle. You try everything. You make sure everything is working. And if you have a problem, any problem, you take it to the dealer immediately. So one of the things that happens is when the manufacturer does buy the car back, if it is a lemon and they buy it back, they get an offset for the amount of miles you put on that car up until the first day that the defect occurred. So if you have a problem and you at 1,000 miles, and you wait until 5,000 miles to take it in, then you've just lost some money if, in fact, that vehicle ends up to be a lemon and it gets bought back. So always take it in and document any problem with the vehicle. Take it into the dealer and document it. Tell them everything that's going on every time you see them. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, and it's kind of like life. The more you document, when you buy something, document it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You have income, document it, and that's a great way to just deal with the register in your for your savings or checking. But I just want to ask you, what got you into this line of work?
Well, I became a lawyer wanting to help people, and I think that after having children and being a family person, I went to work for big companies because it was, a steady paycheck and it was comfortable and it allowed me to be with my kids. But now that they're grown, I went back to my roots and I thought, okay, I really want to help the consumer. And so I've been seeing what is happening with how many lemons are really out there. And I think it's going to get worse. It's my opinion, it's going to get worse because of the technology. And I think technology, they push it out the door before it's completely ready, knowing that some of it's going to fail, and they'll just deal with it then. And so I just want to help the people. I want to help the consumer, especially having had this situation myself. And now I'm able to do it. I've had enough experience and training that now I can do this and really help people.
I think this is totally your opinion, but I want to ask a question here. So my thought about this is that I wonder, do they actually build in, things that expire in the car? I've always wondered that myself, because certain things start to go wrong right after a certain amount of time or mileage. I wanted to see if those were kind of pre-engineered, in terms of when things go out. I know in dishwashers, I heard that's true. There are certain parts that are moving parts, and they anticipate X amount of life. They might be able to put another 50 cents to make it last twice as long, but they don't do that because they want you to be able to do some things. And I actually, oh my goodness, I have to tell you this, I actually had changed the headlight, the little lamp of my Mercedes. And I was told, and I believed them after I saw what needed to be done, to just change that one bulb. They want you to go into the dealership to get that changed. They do not want you to do it yourself, because that gives them an opportunity to look at the car. I would say it helps the economy. Let me put it that way. Puts more money in their pockets. But I wanted to see, do you think there is any truth between the predetermined, just the obsolescence of a vehicle, and then are certain makes built specifically to where things that could be easy, they make it hard to where you have to bring them in to get repaired? You have any thoughts on that?
I don't have. I guess my opinion is that they have warranties that are limited for a reason. They have limited. If they expected everything to last forever, they'd have warranties that were forever, right?
Yes.
So I think that I don't think they build it in that they expect and want something to fail at a certain point. But I do think that things should last a certain period of time, and that's what the warranty's for.
Yeah, that's
what you're paying for. You're paying for, when you buy a vehicle, you're paying for that warranty to last, but also you're paying to not have your vehicle in the shop constantly,
right?
And screwing up with your life.
Yep.
So
that's a lot of time, effort, and expense. So during the holidays, you're going to want to go ahead and consider, if you're thinking of getting a new vehicle or a used vehicle, if it still does have a warranty, find out what your rights are ahead of time so that you can pre-plan and understand what I heard, Patrea, if I understand you right. If you have anything wrong with the car right during that warranty period, make sure you go ahead and bring it in. Make sure it's taken care of immediately. Is that correct?
And documented.
And documented.
And tell them every single time if you have a problem. And sometimes you'll take your car in and you'll say it's doing this or that, and they'll say, well, we can't confirm that. We can't verify that. Well, if it keeps happening, go in and do it again. Whether they can verify it or not, you document it. You document it. Because if, in fact, it turns out that the vehicle is defective and is a lemon, you're going to need that documentation to prove it.
Right, and that's actually what I did with the van, so that worked out really well. You can reach Patrea Bullock at CaliforniaLemonLawExpert.com. That is California spelled out, lemonlawexpert.com. Or you can also reach her at 916-878-0161. That is 916-878-0161. 0161. And thank you for the information. This is very, very helpful. And before I let you go, I wanted to ask you, are there any other final things that you'd like for people to be aware of concerning their rights in terms of when they purchase a new vehicle?
I don't think so. I think we pretty much covered everything that's really important. There's other information, frequently asked questions on my website if anybody feels like they didn't get all of their questions answered. But it's worth your trouble is my point. It's worth the trouble. If you really feel like you bought something that isn't living up to your expectations, do something about it.
That's exactly what it is. And we always talk about how even in life, when you go ahead and have a dream, there are some times in life you want that dream to become a reality. You got to wake up, take action. That's what makes the dreams happen, not just sitting there dreaming about it. If you want to take advantage of the laws, you have to take action and know what your rights are, be educated, and then go out there and use the laws, because that is your right. I also want to ask you, I had a very interesting situation with my car, and it was that the fan kept replacing the fan, because because there was a motor, and it kept getting noisier and noisier. After maybe 3,000 or 4,000 miles, I actually had it exchanged 3 or 4 times, and they did have an opportunity to rectify it, because that was a part that's associated with the vehicle, not necessarily the vehicle itself. Would that necessarily contribute to it being a lemon?
Absolutely. Every single part of that car during the bumper-to-bumper basic warranty is could be possibly the basis for a lemon law claim. The question is, does it affect the use, value, or safety to you? And living here in Sacramento, if your air conditioning isn't working, that would definitely affect your use.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And it's kind of like eating an ice cream cone. If you don't have the AC, it's definitely a messy situation. I've tried that. Again, thank you so much. We are with Patrea Bullock, and she is the California lemon law expert. You can go visit her and find out more information about your rights at californialemonlawexpert.com. And I just wanted to mention once again, we are here in Stockton, California. We are with KXVS. This is the voice of Stockton. We want to go ahead and bring you some incredible content, and we want you to know this is all about our community, what we can do to better our community, better ourselves. And on this show specifically, we want to make sure that we bring you real practical solutions, but we also want to make sure that you know that part of that solution is you taking action. Take advantage of the laws. Take advantage of opportunities to better yourself. And I will tell you that as we move forward here, one of the things I've learned is that the moments in our life matter. Our story matters, because our story can be something that really is ignition to be able to ignite the flame for somebody to do something big. Stockton, California is a mecca. It really is a place where a lot of things are happening, and so we encourage you, get involved. Go ahead, if you're looking for some place to give, go ahead and check out kxvs.org to see how you can give, either with your time or money, because again, this is the hub of things that are happening in the area here. This is Jim T. Chong off the Miracle Mile in Stockton, California. We want to say God bless, and we want you to think about your opportunity to be able to give back to the people, especially during this month, and consider those that have served our country, and what will you do with your American dream. God bless.